Hey folks, rinimt here, and welcome to, or really welcome back to, Merry Crisis. So the demo has been updated from when I checked it out for Choose Wisely Festival, and well, there's a bunch of new stuff. So let's strap in and get ready for a ride. Let's go. Player setup. Your character is we'll go with a woman. I think I'll do the same option. For flashback scenes, your character was born female. 3 romanceable characters in the game, all of them gender selectable. We'll do all romanceable characters women. Content warning, this game may explore themes of racial prejudice, homophobia, family conflict, and transphobia, depending on the player's characters. Playable character's identity and choices. Proceed without in-game warnings, but this is your warning now that those things may happen. Prologue, the arrival. December 22nd. You sprint down the street. There had been an early sprinkling of snow 2 days ago, and the streets are still slippery with patches of black ice. It's absolute madness to be running full tilt the way you are, but nobody bats an eye. You've lived here long enough to know that New York City is full of people who are late to something or another. In your case, your flight to Singapore is in less than 4 hours. You still need to grab your stuff from the apartment. Slow down enough to avoid falling flat on my face. If you end up as roadkill, you definitely won't make it for Christmas dinner. Your mother's already mad enough that you're visiting for only a week, so you don't want to know how she'll react if you don't come home at all. You're a yard from your apartment building when 2 very familiar hairy things burst out of the front door and charge towards you. They leap straight at you, yapping noisily and knocking you off balance. Okay, that's just bad. That's not okay. Wait. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay, I just had to have my mouse cursor in the window. Alright, I can hide it though, I think. There we go. Take a step back right into a patch of ice. You flail frantically in the blind hope of catching a nearby railing. Fortunately, someone catches your arm before you faceplant into the sidewalk. It's Nat, your housemate. I'm so sorry. Kehoe and Liz dashed out before I could clip their leashes on. Liz wakes her tail and beams at you, while Kehoe gives you a smug smile, completely unrepentant despite their role in your near-death experience. Never too busy to give the dogs a quick pat. There we go. You technically have no time to spare, but you've never been able to resist these two. You toss the toy bone for Liz and give Kehoe a pat. Liz scampers off happily in search of the bone, and Kehoe gives you an imperious bark of satisfaction. Matt watches you, gaze lingering, expression hovering somewhere between fond and sad, and something you still don't have a name for. Even now, his voice carries a warmth you've spent the past few weeks trying to forget. 4 weeks ago. The breakup had been amicable, mature. You'd both simply been moving in opposite directions, or so Nat had put it anyway. You stand in the kitchen of your shared apartment, reeling from all that had been said and left unsaid. The radiator hisses unevenly in the corner, working overtime to fill the silence. A half-drunk mug of tea sits between you, long since gone cold. You'd sensed that Nat hadn't been happy for a while now, but you hadn't realized that it had gone this bad. Breakup bad. Are you even happy with me? I'm not happy, just too busy and distracted. Truth is, you've been so busy with your own career that you'd stopped paying attention to what was happening between you and Nat. Perhaps in some way you'd willfully refuse to see the warning signs because you thought your relationship with Nat was too good to fail. The last 4 years with Nat have been some of the best years of your life. Stupidly and naively, you had genuinely expected those good times to last forever. Nat reaches over and takes your hand in his, smooth and warm and big-knuckled. It's a gesture that's so familiar it makes your heart ache. I love you, but we can't keep going on like this. Something sharp and desperate claws at your throat. Nod silently. I know a dead end when I see one. As much as you wish things had worked out between you, you've lived long enough to know that sometimes things just don't go the way you want them to. You know a dead end when you see one. The two of you stare at each other from across the table. The silence stretches between you. A part of you wants to cling on, but was there anything left to save? A week passes. December 3rd. You're still living with Nat in the same tiny apartment. You've already packed your things into neatly labeled boxes, and you've been scouring websites for apartments to rent, but New York City's rent is sky high. As a late 20-something-year-old without much savings to your name, there just aren't many options. Try my best to move on. You pack your feelings away and seal it up along with the rest of your belongings. 6 boxes contain half of the life you'd once shared. You remind yourself that this is for the best. This is what Nat wanted. A car honks loudly. The sound of traffic transports you back to the cold street, breath foggy in the December air. It's beginning to snow properly now. Tiny snowflakes settle in Nat's hair on the shoulders of his jacket. Step back, establishing distance. Step back, putting enough distance between you and Nat to hopefully prevent yourself from doing anything rash. It doesn't, however, stop the small pang in your heart from building to a dull ache. You can't help thinking of all the winter days you'd spent together, making angels in fresh snow and sipping hot chocolate by a window. You push the memories away. You're no longer 21, in love and full of hope for the future. The space between you seems to crackle, but the silence is a thick layer of hard-packed ice. It's Nat who breaks the silence. When does your flight leave? 3.5 hours. With a change of expression worthy of an 80s sitcom, all the color bleeds out of Nat's face. Need a lift? Your hesitation, Nat waves a hand. It's no problem. What's the point of a holiday if you can't even use it to save a... Nat falters a little at this, but soldiers on. A housemate in a time of crisis. A hesitation when Nat said housemate makes your heart constrict. Give him a grateful hug. Thank you. You pull Nat into a hug. Nat lets out a small sound of surprise, but a second later relaxes into your arms. You breathe deeply, inhaling the familiar scent of Nat. For a moment, you can almost pretend that nothing has changed between you. The thought brings a warm sting to your eyes, and you step back, blinking quickly. Thanks, Nat. I really appreciate it. Nat's expression is gentle, but you catch a flicker of something you can't quite decipher. En route to JFK. Nat's one of the few New Yorkers you know who owns a set of wheels. You spent countless weekends exploring the small towns along the Hudson River, hiking in the nearby Catskills, going on road trips. You've been driving through a blizzard to Quebec, singing terrible pop songs at the top of your lungs when you first realized how in love with Nat you were. At the next stop sign, Nat turns to glance at you. What will you say when your family asks what you're still doing in New York? You expect to return to Singapore after college, but you'd started dating Nat in senior year, so you'd found a way to stay a little longer. 1 year led to the next. Before you know it, you spent nearly 3 years in New York after graduating. Even without Nat, New York's starting to feel like home. You let out a long exhale and look out the window on your side of the car. Singapore is where you grew up, but it never quite felt like a life you had chosen. In New York, with a million other transplants to the city, you feel a little lighter, free from expectations of what you should do, whom you should be. Nat had never pushed you to settle in New York for good, but you'd been considering it. First, you'd stay in New York because Nat was here, but as time passed, you've come to think of New York as home. A part of you still wants to stay in the city, even though there are pieces of Nat everywhere in New York. Restaurants and bodegas and parks and street corner markets that remind you of him. But perhaps you could reclaim each piece of the city if you had to. I've built a life here too. Nat stares at you for a long time, curiosity mixed in with the pain. It'd be nice to still have you in the same city. Traffic light turns green again finally, and Nat starts the car up again. Nat slides into a spot at the airport drop-off area. See you when you get back? Can't help but think about all the times Nat has driven you to the airport, kissed you goodbye, and told you how much he'd miss you while you were gone. How many things have you done together without knowing would be the last time? A crooked smile tugs at the corner of Nat's lips. Yeah, enjoy your week home. One very long flight later. December 24th. You wheel your luggage into the lift of your public housing block. The doors are about to clang shut when someone dashes toward you at full speed. Calmly press the door open button. Oh, there was a little timer there. With commendable composure and under pressure, you reach out and press the door open button. But these old lifts have a mind of their own. The lift door continues to close, but the person continues to rush forward. The lift doors clang shut around the boot. A second later, the doors jerk back open and the person strolls in, grinning at you. Thanks. I don't wanna wait for the next lift. Give the man a friendly smile. The person smiles back at you and steps into the lift. He reaches out to press the button for the 11th floor, the one you live on. You put two and two together. This must be Shay, your neighbor's new tenant. The one your mother complains about in every phone call. The company he brings home, the late-night jamming sessions with his bandmates, the muddy mountain bike tracks he leaves in the corridor. You study the man in greater detail as the lift starts trundling upward. He's wearing ripped black jeans and a sleeveless red tee which shows off strong shoulders, defined muscles, and tan, sun-kissed skin. There's a guitar case slung over his shoulders. When you return your gaze to the man's eyes, you realize you've been caught staring. He winks at you. Like what you see? His voice is low and playfully flirtatious, and you can definitely see why your mother disapproves. Sorry, it's just I've heard a lot about you, Shay, right? Shay's eyebrows lift in surprise and realization dawns. Ah, right, your mother talks about you all the time. Complains about how I left home, no doubt. Shay's smile broadens. Among other things. Conversation is interrupted by a loud ding as the lift arrives on your floor. Step out of the lift into the corridor after Shay. You spent countless afternoons kicking a ball back and forth along this very corridor with your brother. You catalog the changes since your last time you've been back home from Lunar New Year. It's been more than 8 months since then, much to your mother's disapproval. For one, there's a new row of thriving plants extending from your family's unit to the one next door. Chase smiles at you and gestures down the corridor. Want to be introduced to the fam? You blink a split second later, you realize that he's referring to his plants. Sure, why not? She introduces each plant to you in loving detail. The finicky orchid, the indestructible ZZ plant, and the drama queen, fiddle leaf fig. Finally, Shay waves at your family's sad bougainvillea that's been neglected for years. Hey, maybe you could give this poor soul some TLC while you're here. I'm only here for a week. Oh. Shay's face falls slightly, but he quickly recovers. We'll make it count. See you around, neighbor. Continue on your way down the corridor to your unit. I'm home. Your mother rushes out of the kitchen to smack you in the arm. Why? Should have come back a week earlier, or stayed a week longer. 1 week? Pathetic. Not enough time to binge watch a K-drama. A second later, she pulls you into a brief hug. She's never been a particularly physically affectionate person, but she does hug you each time you come back home to visit. You return the embrace. In your arms, she feels smaller, thinner than you remember. Your dad comes running out from his room at the commotion. He, on the other hand, has grown a belly. There you are. Should have let us pick you from the airport. No need to waste money on taxi. He waves a hand at the containers on the table, beaming proudly. I doubled from your favorite stall at Red Hill Market. Your mother frowns accusatorially at you, taking in your ravenous expression. Sometimes I think you come back for the food more than for us. Your dad shrugs. I'm happy as long as something works as bait. Where's Dee? He's out hanging with a friend again on Christmas Eve. She makes apostrophes with her fingers at the word friend and shares a meaningful glance with your father. You take this with a pinch of salt. Your mother has a habit of simply assuming things that she'd like to believe. Yet she has done the exact opposite with Nat, continuing to refer to him as a flatmate for months after you told them about your relationship. Suppose it was just easier than confronting the fact that you were dating a black American instead of a Chinese Singaporean. Before you can sink further into these thoughts, the front door swings open violently. Your younger brother tosses his socks and bag by the gate and sashays into the house. Hello, something smells amazing. Can I have some? Your mother rolls her eyes and mutters something about bottomless stomachs, but waves everyone over to the dining room. Elbow my brother smirking. Mom thinks you're on a date. My mom glares at you betrayed, but your brother only laughs. Your mother's eyes light up with hope. So it's true? I can neither confirm nor deny. Your brother plonks down in the seat next to you. Every time I see you, you look older than I remember. That's exactly how aging works, genius. Sucks to be you. At least I'm not the one getting dumber every year. Two of you grin at each other. You'd never admit it out loud, but it's good to see you. For the first couple of minutes, there's only the sound of utensil scraping as all four of you practically inhale the food. It's truly the best thing you've tasted in weeks, maybe months. After the feeding frenzy has died down, conversation resumes. So, have you been? Tell my life about my family in New York. Tell my life. We'll go with it. We'll go with it. You tell him about your job, a new hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurant you've discovered, and the latest dating disaster that has befallen Kenny, you son of a family friend. It's almost as though you'd never left. Once you've warmed up a little, you start talking more about yourself and how you've been. Talk about the record deal that you've gotten, how they've given the green light on your draft album, which is still on track for a release in spring next year. Your parents had never been too keen on you making music for a living, but this year mother slips you a small smile. Your father has been karaokeing to your YouTube channel. It's good, very catchy. Your brother smirks. He sings so loud the neighbors know it's now. Eventually the conversation turns to that. Even though you had intended to tell them about the breakup, you can't bring yourself to it yet. Soon, food has been polished off. After lunch. You're in the kitchen with your mother, helping to clear up. When you were younger, you'd resent the fact that your mother never really expected your brother and father to help with most of the cooking or cleaning. But it's for that reason that the kitchen had been one of the few quiet, intimate places that you share with your mother, a sanctum of sorts. She's always been most comfortable talking to you about difficult topics amidst the cooking fumes and the sound of sizzling oil. Today, standing side by side at the sink, you can't help but feel a bit of that old closeness. You know, your father. She stops abruptly and waves her hand at you dismissively, changing tracks. Well, we're both not getting any younger. She's been saying this for years in an attempt to guilt trip you into returning home, but this time her tone makes you think there might be more to it than she's letting on. Just as you're about to ask her what she means, she shakes her head and turns away. Mother walks off to tie up the garbage into a plastic bag. When she returns, her expression has softened into a smile. It's good to have you back. I just wish you'd stay longer. You blink. It's classic behavior from her, something almost tender, bundled up with a jab, and all to distract you from what she'd been about to say earlier. What were you about to say? Mother shakes her head as stubborn as you are. Nothing. An exclamation expressing dismay that didn't stay long enough. Just tell your father not to eat so much oily fried food, okay? You nod, about to follow up with another question, but your mother clams her mouth shut. Clear signal that it's all she will say on the matter. Right as you head out of the kitchen to throw out the trash, your mom adds tentatively. So, how are things with you and Nat? You're not sure whether to be touched or horrified that she's finally recognized your relationship with Nat. Now that it's finally over. We broke up. You've never really been the type to go into details about your love life with your family, but you do mention that from time to time. He features in your phone calls. The news spills out of you before you can stop yourself. We broke up. Oh no, how come? You sigh, wondering how to summarize all the subtle tides it had little by little carried you both in different directions. Guess in the end, it just felt like we didn't really belong in each other's worlds. You brace yourself, waiting for her to say something about how she told you to date a Chinese Singaporean, but she doesn't. Actually does look sorry for you, even though her tone is gruff. Meh, an expression used to express disbelief for that. With internet, there's still such a thing as different worlds, meh? You draw in a long breath and shrug. Honestly, you're surprised at how your mother's actually trying to talk to you. That's new. The two of you stand wordlessly in the kitchen for a while until finally you grab the trash bag and head out. Just as you're rounding the corridor to the shared rubbish chute, you bump into Shay. He's repotting one of his plants in the corridor, humming a little tune as he works. He pauses and looks up as you walk past. He brightens and gives you an enthusiastic wave, nearly flinging a couple of clods of mud at you in the process. Let's chat. You draw a little closer. Are you seeing to your plants? After carefully setting the plant into its new pot, Shay straightens and smiles at you. Or to you, if you like. To your surprise, Shay actually begins to sing the chorus of the song he'd been humming, with his voice oak-timbered and rough-hewn. You roll your eyes, but can't help but smiling. Alright, save it for the fiddly fig. I've been meaning to ask for your number. Just like that. No dinner date first. Shay lets out a throaty laugh. I'm playing a Christmas gig tomorrow. Wanna come? We just met 5 minutes ago and you want me to spend Christmas with you? Shay winks at you. I go write music, drinks on me after. What better way to spend Christmas? Besides, you're the one who wants a dinner invite. Anyway, no pressure. I'll send you the deeds and you can decide later. You nod, mulling it over as you head back into the house. You can already hear your mother in your head grumbling about bad influences, what drag you out to wild late-night parties instead of spending time with family on Christmas. Junior college, going to high school, old, 11, 12. After dinner that night, you get a call from Junior, best friend from junior college. You're back in Singapore, finally! I started a picture of you on my phone once every couple of months so I don't forget what you look like. You laugh. You've been friends for years, so you know just how dramatic she can be. That's creepy. Also, I literally just video called you a month ago. So you got plenty to update each other about. Eventually, conversation loops around to the classic reunion scheduled for the day after Christmas. By the way, Q just confirmed he's coming to dinner? Your heart twists. It's been nearly a decade since you last saw Q. It feels as though you'd met each other a lifetime ago now. 8 years ago. You're at the party with Junie and her boyfriend Tech. At some point between the rowdy drinking games and chit-chat, you wander out to the pool alone for a bit of a breather. You get a couple of seconds of blissful solitude before someone else slips out the back door and joins you. It's Q. You've seen him around in school, and you've seen his name on every single dean's list since the dawn of time. You know he's got a reputation for being aloof, but you've never really spoken until today. Needed some peace and quiet. You laugh and raise an eyebrow at him pointedly. Yeah, well, not gonna get it now. Conversation starts small. School, mutual friends, favorite bands, and somehow the momentum sweeps you both along with it. Q listens more than he talks, and his attention feels all encapsulating. Time passes in a hazy blur, thick and viscous, and you keep talking longer than you plan to. People occasionally come in and out of the back door, but you barely even notice. For who knows how long, nothing pierces the bubble that forms around the two of you. Eventually, though, the party begins to empty out, and the few remaining people come streaming out of the house. Suddenly, there's a loud whoop, and the host dives headlong into the pool with a massive splash. A second later, everyone hoots and plunges in after him one by one. Cackling and cheering erupts around you. Alright, seems like the madness is starting. I'm heading home. You? Yeah, let's get out of here. Two of you say your goodbyes to the rest and walk out of the house together. You linger at the front gate. There are no stars, not that you can see anyway, but the sparkling Q's eyes is close enough. Seems neither of you want to say goodbye just yet. The emotion is so quick you're not sure if you'd imagine it, but you can just about swear you see Q's eyes dip down to your lips. Take a deep breath and let the moment pass. You hold back. Q continues to stare at you, but even though your heart hammers in your chest, you do not close the distance between you. So, how are you getting home? Wanna walk together? You smile, glad that Q has found a way to make the night last just a little longer. Weeks pass. After that, the two of you go back to your separate parallel lives. Occasionally, you'll bump into each other in the hallways between classes, but the encounters slowly fades into memory. As until the final year of junior college. SP. I need water. That's a lot of talking. Alright. As fate would have it, stay hydrated by the way. As fate would have it, Q transfers into your class and gets assigned a seat next to you. There's an inescapable intimacy to sitting shoulder to shoulder for hours every day, watching Q take notes in his absurdly neat handwriting. As the days go by, the two of you begin spending more and more time with each other after class. Keep my feelings to myself. You hadn't realized what it was at first, but the unfamiliar thrumming tension between you continues to build until you can no longer deny your feelings. Even after that, you keep your feelings tightly bottled up. Q, on his part, remains as inscrutable as ever, but there are moments in class wherein you catch his gaze on you. Start thinking, hoping, that maybe he too has feelings he isn't letting on. One afternoon, after cheering on your school team at a football match, you're on your way home when you realize you've left your wallet behind. Cursing, you turn back. The storm hits. By the time you locate your wallet face down in the puddle at the edge of the field, you're soaked through. As you bend to pick the wallet up, a shadow comes over you. It's Q, trying valiantly to hold an umbrella over the two of you. The rain's coming at you in great horizontal sheets, and the wind is yanking the umbrella around despite Q's best efforts to keep it upright. Thanks, but I'm not sure the umbrella's doing much at this point. Didn't realize you were such a defeatist. By the time you reach the shelter of the bus stop, you're both soaked to the bone and breathing hard from the sprint. Q looks down at his drenched clothes, pushes a wet strand of hair out of his face. The bus stop is deserted. The buses must have just gone by, which means there's a long wait ahead. The rain's loud enough that there's no pressure to talk, but Q holds your gaze instead of taking on his phone. As you study Q, you notice that his lips have gone slightly pale and he's shivering slightly. Jesus, you look like you're on the verge of death. I might be. Hypothermia in the tropical country. Tomorrow's breaking news. Asshole. Next time I'm leaving you out there. Q steps closer and suddenly his face is only inches from yours. He lifts his chin. If this were a movie, you'd be offering me your jacket right about now. Q's definitely flirting. My heart flutters. Second layer, Q's leaning in, slow enough for you to pull back if you wanted. Pull back, heart pounding. You step back. Something moves across Q's face and disappears as he swallows and looks away. A moment later, your bus pulls up to the curb. Hop on the bus. Bye, see you tomorrow. From that day on, there's no turning back. You fall fast and hard for each other. You see each other every day and spend hours talking on the phone in the middle of the night. Messages exchanged in the margins of literature books, a dozen different ways to type I love you on a graphing calculator. In hindsight, the sweetness of sinking gently into that relationship will always be tainted by the memory of how things had soured between you. Back to the present. Ginny clears her throat, reminding you that she's still on the phone. So, you're coming to the class reunion, right? I don't really want to see Q, but I'll survive. Even now, the thought of meeting him sends a wave of painful memories through you. It's taking you years to stop dreaming of Q, stop itching to look him up on social media to see what he was doing. You don't want to reopen wounds if you can help it, but you do want to see the rest of your classmates. You'll be damned if you let Q take that away from you, too. Yay! Jeannie's exclamation nearly blows out your eardrums. I'll save you that much. Fortunately, you had the foresight to hold your phone an inch away from your ear. Having extracted your promise to attend the reunion, Ginny hangs up a little while later. You fell asleep that night with your mind still swirling with memories of a life you thought you'd left behind. December 25th. The rest of Christmas unfolds the way it usually does. Hectic, noisy, your extended family asking you too many questions you don't have answers for. Halfway through dinner, you get a message from Nat, accompanied by a selfie with the dogs and Nat's parents out on a morning stroll. Merry Christmas. Hope you're eating all the chili crab on my behalf. If you want to call for a bit later, let me know. The heart symbol in the message makes your heart throb, and you try to tell yourself it had probably been an accident. Frequently use emojis and fat thumbs. There's also a message from Shay with the address of the show he's doing tonight, as promised. Yo, heard it from your mom that you're a musician too. If you come tonight, you can totally guest star. He's exactly the same through text as you in real life. Flirty, irreverent, teasing. Text back and forth for a bit before your mother glares at you. Reluctantly, you put your phone away until after dinner. Once dinner winds down, you head out of the restaurant with your family. Nat and Shay's messages await your reply. Let's head to the performance. You text Shay to tell him you'll be there and make your way to the address he'd sent. The live music venue. You soon arrive at Fat Dog Brewery, the roadside burger place and live music venue where Shay and his band are performing. There's an open-air patio with high tables and fairy lights strung up along the sides. You spot Shay just as he's about to follow his bandmates up on stage. Hey, you made it! Shay flashes you a wide smile when he sees you. He's genuinely delighted that's only really loud. As though he hadn't been sure you'd actually come. He is about to say more when his bandmate yells impatiently from the stage. I flirt later. Gotta get the show started. Catch you in a bit. Enjoy the performance. Shay hops up the stairs to join his bandmates. Haha. The space facing the stage is already packed with people. With some creative maneuvering, you manage to weave your way toward the front. The first song starts with a snazzy drum beat that explodes into a fast, rollicking melody. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. The lyrics are absolutely ridiculous, and honestly, you're expecting nothing less from Shay. By the time the chorus comes around, most of the crowd is snorting with laughter and clapping or singing along. After the silly upbeat opener, the band eases into a couple of original songs. Your gaze zeroes in on Shay as he effortlessly works his magic. You haven't been sure what to expect when Shay had first asked you to come, but you're completely swept up by the music. Close to the end of the hour-long set, Shay's gaze picks you out among the crowd. I'd like to ask if a special guest so they could like to close out the night with us. Ripple of surprise ooze at this, head swivel in all directions, curious. Shay shoots you a warm, playful smile, waiting for your answer. Why not? Loud cheering from the crowd as you climb on stage. When Shay introduces you to the crowd, they go wild for you. Someone cups their mouth and shouts, I love you! Either a fan or a very drunk person. Oh. Shall we do borrowed time? You nod, surprised that Shay knows it. Probably thanks to your mom who tells everyone who will listen about your songs. This is an original song I wrote. It's about moments you wish could last forever. Once the audience quiets slightly, you give the signal to begin. You perform the song to a crowd dozens of times before, but it still gives you a thrill each and every time. Shay's guitar weaves a soaring thread around your voice. Then in the second verse, Shay steps closer to share the microphone and joins in, the voice harmonizing with yours. There's a raw undercurrent of vulnerability in Shay's voice that feels so intimate that you find yourself holding your breath, unable to look away. The two of you trade the bridge back and forth, improvising a duet. You make instinctive adjustments, stretching some of the notes and shortening others, carving out space for Shay's voice and guitar just as he does for you. The string lights illuminate Shay's face as he sings, face inches from yours. Your eyes flicker shut and you let the music push you into dizzying freefall. The song sounds completely different from how you'd written it, but you like it this way. Two voices swirling around the deep, rich bones of drums and bass. Shay's good. Long, syrupy notes stretch and simmer in the night air. In the third verse, Shay lifts the melody unexpectedly, climbing into the falling question. You shift the tempo of the fourth and final verse to reframe the first, the same chorus but reversed. An answer. Your voice is locked on the last note of the song. Shay's molten gaze finds yours. Yay! The audience bursts into rapturous applause. You come up to stand beside Shay and his bandmates. Thank you, we're the 1 a.m. Love Pack Band. Merry Christmas, everyone! After the performance. You sit down on a small stool next to Shay. You're all still sweaty and breathless, but vibrating from the familiar post-show adrenaline. That was amazing! You are incredible. Shay holds your gaze for a beat too long, acknowledging the moment of wordless, telepathic connection you'd both felt. You can still feel the echo of that last note lodged between your ribs. You introduce yourself to Shay's bandmates. I'm Kim Sang. Nice. You blink unsure if you've heard the name correctly. It's 'cause I get in your hair and once I'm in your life, I'm impossible to get rid of. Conversation between the four of you flows easily over drinks. Kim Sang is laid back and easygoing, and Lights is delightfully blunt. So, are you the neighbor who keeps yelling at Shay about muddy bike tracks? Shay laughs, shaking his head. No, the mom's the one who yelled at me. He snorted, elbowing Shay. They talk about my mom and not about me. Shay laughs. You jealous? Don't worry, Shay talks about you too. He made us all watch your YouTube music videos yesterday. Shay blinks, uncharacteristically nervous. Did we do the song justice? You nod, smiling as you recall how the song had been transformed. I loved it. We should record that version together. You realize this is something you've been missing, but tonight, playing music with Shay and his bandmates, you feel seasoned the way you haven't in a long time. Wet packs, at the time, looking around. Why do you guys call it the 1 a.m. left back band? Left back is the Malay word for chill or slack off, but maybe there's a story to the name. One night, about 2 years ago, Lace and I were performing at a bar in Bugas. At the bar I was part of the band, and a different drummer then. The amp blew. We were getting a lukewarm reaction from the crowd at some point. Some drunk man sent up and shouts, "Do so, chose or something, losers." Fast forward to after the performance. We head to a coffee shop and the drummer quits. She said, "We're just a bunch of friends who let back and play music together." Some real job. You nod sympathetically. Your parents or an extended family have expressed similar sentiments on foreign information. Obviously, she meant it negatively, but I overheard the conversation and thought it sounded like fun. He pulls up a chair next to us and we start talking, and the 1 a.m. comeback band was born. Shay grins at you. You're welcome to join the band, anytime. Liza Kim sings, snort, and after a beat, you laugh too. Oh, keep that in mind. At some point, after polishing up the drinks and food, the four of you join the throng of people dancing in front of the stage. Oh, keep things casual. She's an exuberant, inventive dancer with moves that range from graceful to silly to downright impressive. Life sweeps across his face like a typhoon, and sang is a little tentative but endearingly so. You dance with them until you're breathless, the world spinning around you in a whirl of color and sound. Eventually, when the atmosphere finally begins to die down and the venue begins to empty, you decide to call it a night. At home. It's taking a taxi back, you accepted a ride back from Shay on this motorbike. Cool wind buffets your face, and you wind and drums beneath you. Your begins to relax, taking the Christmas lights when the bike suddenly sails over a speed bump. You get a millisecond of airtime before hitting the ground again, nearly crashing into Shay's back. Shay laughs but doesn't take his eyes off the road. You can hold on to me if you like. Put my arms around Shay's waist. Shay leans back slightly so you can feel his warm body against yours. Rest your chin on his shoulder. Enjoy the ride. So much so I'm considering getting myself a motorbike. Shay chuckles. At the next stoplight, he looks over at you, dark eyes sparkling. Anytime, I'd be happy to take you on as many joyrides as you want. Shay makes another wide turn. The swooping sensation makes your pulse race. Your grip around Shay's waist tightens just a little. We aren't used to fetching around her on her motorbike as a kid. She called it eating air. As the bike flies along the nearly empty roads, you taste the crisp night air on your tongue. I can see why she called it that. The ride is almost too short. Before you know it, Shay pulls up in the car parked at your apartment block. Shay pauses. I have a really nice time tonight. Me too. Shay runs a hand through his hair, looking hopefully at you. Wanna come over to my place? I don't want the night to end just yet. Shay's eyes light up in genuine excitement. Takes your hand and the two of you walk toward the lift lobby where you first met. Shay leads you into his bedroom, flicking on the lights. It's been a long time since you felt this thrumming, pulsing electricity with someone other than that. You push aside this thought and look around the room. It's crowded with all sorts of posters and, as expected, plants of various shapes and sizes. There's a guitar hanging on the wall and even an old vinyl record player on the side table. If you're wondering, I've recently installed some soundproofing so the neighbors won't complain about my jamming sessions. Occasionally, it comes in handy for other activities too. You snort, punching him in the arm. Shay laughs and puts a cantopop record on, a smoky velvet baritone that fills the room. Let's just chat. Shay sits cross-legged in front of you, and the two of you chat as the record spins, music weaving its golden spell on you. It's more intimate than you'd expected, but not unpleasant. Leslie Chung's voice floats through the air, ethereal and wistful. Shay's so close he can feel the warmth from his skin. Remain where I am. You stay where you are, listening to Shay hum the final notes of the song. When it ends, Shay gets up to sheath the record and you stand as well. I should probably get going. Shay nods, gaze lingering on your face. There's a boxing gym I go to in Gaelong. Do you want to come with me? We could have dinner after. You raise an eyebrow and Shay laughs. No, it sounds like I'm suggesting I can beat you up, but it'll be fun, I promise. Even lice think so, and they hate exercise. Sure, why not? First you steal my lift, now you drag me somewhere to beat me up. Your tone is teasing and Shay's eyes sparkle. You won't regret it. The next morning. You wake up to sunlight streaming in from the window, still sleep-muddled. You must have forgotten to close the curtains last night. A quick glance at your phone tells you it's only 7:30 a.m. You're still jet-lagged, but fortunately you've been tired enough to sleep through the night. You turn around to try and go back to sleep, but your thoughts keep drifting back to last night with Shay. I enjoyed myself. You no longer believe in love at first sight or soulmates, but you can't deny how quickly you've been drawn to Shay. You like the way he makes you laugh, the way he eased in your heart. You haven't felt so comfortable with anyone but Nat in a long time. You hadn't acted on anything and neither had Shay, but he'd made his attraction to you pretty obvious. After breakfast. To appease your mother after your disappearance last night, you spent most of the day with your family. The afternoon, the four of you played mahjong. The Christmas presents from your extended family is stacked in the pile between you. Winner takes all. It's nobody's surprise your mother ends up winning by a big margin. As a result, she's in such a good mood that she doesn't even complain that much when you tell her you're eating out with your old junior college friends. When evening rolls around, you meet Ginny by the river as promised. She pulls into a bone-crushing hug, thumping you on the back as though executing the Heimlich maneuver. People are going to be so excited to see you. It's been years! Two of you stroll along the river to the restaurant where you'll be meeting the rest of your classmates. Hey, maybe this is the day you and Q finally get over the bad blood between you. You've never actually told her what went down all those years ago, even though you suspect Ginny guesses some part of it. 7 years ago. In the months leading up to the national exams at the end of junior college, Q and you spend most of your waking hours after school studying together. Amidst the whirlwind of classes, why is my nose so itchy? Amidst the whirlwind of classes, mock exams, and college applications, you and Q fall even more in love. One afternoon, the two of you head to the library after class, but the air conditioning isn't working. Your brother had invited some friends over, so your house is out. I guess we can go to my place. My mom's out with a friend today. She'll be back late. You brighten. Q hasn't invited you over in weeks because his parents are going through a rough patch. He's been spending as little time as possible at home. All you know is that Q's mom had found out about his dad cheating. Q never wants to talk about it. Sure, I'll come. Can we make dumplings for dinner together after? As far as you're concerned, that recipe is the only worthwhile thing Q ever inherited from his mom. I swear it's the only reason you continue to hang out with me. Among other things. Slip your hand into Q's, fingers lacing together as you head toward the bus stop. You settle down next to Q at his dining table. The two of you work mostly in companionable silence. You're finishing up a chemistry assignment, and Q's doing a literature mock paper. After 2 hours, your attention slowly begins to wander. Q looks up, narrowing his eyes at you. I can feel your gaze from here. He looks up at you, lips curling into a crooked smile. You promise not to be distracting. You're the one being distracting. You see Q's throat bob up and down as he swallows, gaze growing thick. I've still got 5 more minutes on my practice test. When you move a little closer, thigh pressing against Q's, you see a small flicker of desire dance across his features in response. My heart thumps hard in my chest, but I do not move. Q's eyes continue to burn a hole in your soul. He draws closer, hand coming up to cup your jaw. Your heart skips. Q leans in, eyes fluttering shut. Q's mom appears on the threshold of the living room. You haven't heard her come in. Judging by your horrified expressions, she has definitely seen everything. Q hastily lets go of you and steps back. He tries to school his expression as something fairly neutral, but you know him well enough to see the panic in his dark eyes. Shit. It's a long and terrible silence. The thump, thump, thump of your heartbeat is the only unreliable measure of time you have. Q doesn't tear his eyes from his mother, and the entire conversation seems to be had in your presence, except you have no idea what's being said. Finally, Q's mom rounds on you. So you're the one Q has been wasting his time with! Before he got mixed up with you, Q was on the dean's list every year. She glares at you. Now look at him! Shit, prelim grades, throwing away his future, everything we sacrificed for. No, But Q's mother doesn't want to hear it. She holds nothing back. The Mandarin words come at you, sharp and fast like throwing knives. In English, Mrs. Lin had always been hard and derisive, but in Mandarin, she's a force to behold, a typhoon sweeping and tempestuous. Tempest. You think this is a love? Q's mother sneers, not bothering to hide her contempt for you. Q can do so much better than you. One day he will wake up and regret this phase of his life. She spits the last sentence out at you. Trust me, it'll hurt less if you just end this now. The words wedge like barbs in your heart, sinking deep into soft flesh, slicing all the way through. Take a shaky breath and tell her how I genuinely feel about Q. You know this woman deserves nothing of your honesty, and yet you give it anyway. For Q, partially, but mostly for yourself. The words well up from deep inside you and flow through your veins, spilling out of your mouth before you can stop them. You've never had to use Mandarin for anything other than writing academic essays before, but you try your best to find the right words. For the deep, intangible feeling of peace you feel when you're with Q, for the warmth that fills your chest when you first see Q walking down the corridor in the morning. I get it, you want what's best for him, but I do too. Finally, you tear your gaze from Q's mother to look directly at Q. Q's gaze is raw and too tender. You're still presumably speaking to Q's mother, but the words are meant for him. Maybe you're right. Maybe we're not meant for each other. Maybe we're not meant to last. Maybe this is just two teenagers being stupid. I want to give it a shot. For a moment, it seems neither Q nor his mother have any answer to this. And Mrs. Lin snaps at you. That's enough! Until your words have rattled Q's mother to the core, the hollowness in her tone hits you harder than the rage that had preceded it. Don't lecture me about what love looks like! Her voice trembles slightly, which is the first sign of weakness you'd seen from her. I know about mistakes disguised as love, and believe me, I do not wish that on Q nor on you. She picks your bag up from the ground and hands it to you. Go! This is the last I want to see or hear of you. Through it all, Q says nothing, just stares at you, dark eyes swirling. This, more than anything else, is what breaks your heart. You bite down so hard that into your lower lip that you taste the metallic taste of blood. After that day... Thanks for saying what you did. You know she won't change her mind, though. I didn't say those things for her. I said them for you. Q simply stares at you, warmth and regret warring in his eyes. Realize that for as long as the specter of Q's parents' pride and their expectations hang over him like a noose, Q will never be happy. And you'll always be collateral damage. This realization turns into a cold, hard pebble in your gut. You shake your head, staring straight into Q's eyes. In the span of a few wordless minutes, something inside you wilts and turns to ash. Q catches your arm, voice breaking. Don't make me choose between you and everything else. I can't. Your heart, made brittle by everything that had happened yesterday, finally shatters completely. I'm not the one making this an either-or situation. Don't pin this on me. His face is wan, making the dark circles more obvious. Had he gotten any sleep last night? We'll just not hang out in my house. I'll tell my parents I'm sitting outside alone. Nothing has to change. Easy fix. As long as he stayed within the clean lines of Q's boundaries and never asked for more, Q would pretend the problem doesn't exist. No, if that's all I'll ever have, I'd rather walk away now. You know it's over. There's no going back after this. The damage is done. In place of the heady, giddy feeling of falling in love, being in love, there's only the hollow, gnawing feeling of betrayal. Now it's about your grades. Next it'll be about your career. But underneath it all, there will always be a chokehold of your parents, their expectations of what your life should look like. You'll have to pick, and I'll be the one that gets dropped. There's a long silence. If Q had said something then, anything to refute this, you might not have walked away. But he doesn't, so you turn and you don't look back. The next few days morph into weeks. Still see Q in class and sometimes after school, but you barely talk to each other. The haunted look in Q's eyes never goes away. You stop dreaming about the future you could have shared with Q. Instead, you pour all your energy into studying, just to fill the hole in your heart that had been reserved for Q. Nothing feels the same, but you lie to yourself that if you can just make it through the exams, earn your ticket out of Singapore, you'll leave all of the pain behind. Soon classes come to an end. You take your exams and leave the rest up to fate. In the end, you get a full scholarship to NYU, and you hear that Q's headed to the best law program in the country. Once, you might have hesitated at the thought of accepting an offer that would bring you halfway around the world for 4 years. Those days are long over. You submit your official acceptance in NYU, eager to reinvent yourself in a new city. That's the last you see of Q. Back to the present. December 26th. You and Ginny have both stopped walking. Ginny had listened to the entire story without interrupting, but now she rests a hand on your shoulder and squeezes. Damn, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Q told me some of it, but I hadn't realized it was so bad. Ginny pulls you into a hug and you let yourself relax into the embrace. You do feel a little lighter now that you've told Ginny about what had happened. You gonna be okay later if Q shows up? Ginny jerks a thumb the way you come. Because if you like the bail, I know the best Burmese place down that way. You wave a hand at Ginny. I'll be fine. The restaurant is all sleek black and white lines and dark mahogany. The space thrums with Christmas Eve energy. It's a Boxing Day, though. Clinking glasses, bursts of laughter, murmur of low conversation. You scan the sleek interior until you spot familiar faces at the corner booth. Tech, your classmate and Junie's boyfriend, gives you both an enthusiastic wave and dashes over, pulling both you and Junie into a bear hug. You're headed toward the table with the two of them when the door swings open again. Something, instinct perhaps, or maybe just bad timing, makes you turn to look. Q stands silhouetted in the doorway. The smile on your face freezes in place. Time slows. Q's eyes meet yours and all the air whooshes out of your lungs. His dark gaze is exactly how you remember it, turbulent, depthless, and frustratingly unreadable. You let your eyes trace the hard, angular structure of his cheekbones and jaw down to his tailored shirt and pants. Bell speaks subtly of success and power and prestige, all the things Q's parents had always wished for, no, expected of him. You hear he's a public prosecutor now, and he certainly looks the sort of person you wouldn't want to go up against in court. And yet, in the subtle softening of his eyes as he holds your gaze, you see traces of the Q you once knew. There's a hollow ache in your chest. Slowly, Q lifts his chin and his lips curl into a wry, almost cryptic smile. I was starting to think I'd never see you again. Me too, it's been a while. Emotions surge beneath your placid surface as you stare at Q, the first person you fall in love with, the first person to break your heart. But you surprise yourself by giving absolutely nothing away. When you respond, your gaze is level. Me too, it's been a while. Your tone is cool, showing no hint of the resentment crawling in your gut. Q presses his lips together and you see a vein in his neck pulse. Q pushes a strand of hair out of his eyes. You recognize the tic. He does it when he's nervous or uncertain, and there have been a time you found it impossibly endearing. After chatting for a while, Q's gaze slides to the table where your classmates are seated, watching the two of you with undisguised curiosity. He tilts a chin to the back exit. Can we talk outside for a bit? My throat goes dry, but I nod warily. Your heart rate quickens, and your throat goes so dry that you don't trust yourself to speak. Instead, you just nod wordlessly, already praying fervently that this isn't a terrible mistake. Q's expression takes on an unmistakable glimmer of hope. You follow Q out the back door of the restaurant to the alley. The door swings shut behind you, shutting off the noise. The alley is almost empty, save for several lonely pigeons pecking the ground for invisible food scraps. The crescent moon hangs like a silver comma between the rooftops of old shophouses. The back doors are flanked by a motley arrangement of dented garbage bins, air conditioning compressor units, and plastic chairs well worn from countless smoke breaks. For a while, the two of you stare each other down without speaking. Once, almost 10,000 miles of the sea has stood between you and the past that you fought so hard to leave behind. Now Q's standing so close you can smell the familiar scent of his soap. True to character, he hasn't changed even after all these years. You step back, trying to render his proximity less overpowering. You don't want to be reminded of sweeter times, simpler times, times when touching Q, loving Q, is natural as breathing. Okay, we're outside. What do you want to say? Q takes a deep breath and something shifts in his expression. Whatever remained of his hard exterior crumbles to dust in front of you. I wanted to apologize for the way things ended. Your heart drops to the pit of your stomach. I assumed you'd always be in my life. I was 18 and stupid, and Q keeps going, words coming out rough and unpracticed. I thought I could do what my parents wanted. I achieved everything on a list, ticked them off one by one. Didn't make me feel anything. Q sucks in a breath and chokes out the words. Thought I could come back for the things that actually made me happy afterward. But by then, you were already gone. You think of that afternoon in Q's house, everything that Q's mother had said and everything that Q had not. You look at Q for a long moment without saying anything, palms sweating in the humid night air. I never stopped wondering if things might have turned out differently if I had said something then, if I had asked you to stay all those years ago. You made your decision, I made mine, now we live with it. Take a long breath and blow it out again, slowly regaining control over your emotions. Q, we're not 18 anymore, we don't even live in the same country. You wave a hand at the tailors do, the carefully styled hair, the accumulated evidence of just how much your lives had diverged. I think that ship has sailed, don't you? There's a long pause, and you see that Q's hands are still trembling slightly at his sides. It hasn't for me. Q holds your gaze, refusing to give up. Not yet. When Ginny told me you'd be here today, I knew I had to try to talk to you at this time at least. All I'm asking is lunch, this week. That's all it has to be. Taking a sharp breath, at the base of your stomach there's the old anger threatening to rise. But as Q stares at you, you admit there's something else too. Agree to lunch, what harm can it do? This is exactly what you dreamed of once. If this had happened years ago, you would have said yes in a heartbeat. Now you're wary, but even against your better judgment, you find yourself nodding before your logical mind has time to protest. Q's entire face lights up, pulling old sensations out of you with that smile. Hairs on your arm prickle at the warmth that blooms in your chest in response. Pigeons continue pecking at the ground. The moon hasn't moved an inch, but inside you, something shifts. Back at home. That night, when you return home, you realize that everyone's been asking the same question. Are you staying this time? Q had asked it first, before you left for New York, then, nearly a decade later. Nat on the hot afternoon at the beach within a snowy street in New York. Shay as you dance with him in a throng of people. For years, you've been living in the space between cities, between a past that you can't forget and a future that's just out of reach. Tomorrow you wake up in your childhood bedroom with 4 days left in Singapore before the new year. As you walk from the car park to your apartment, you wonder what it would take to finally arrive at an answer to that question. You've reached the end of the demo. Thanks for playing. Based on your choice in this playthrough, these scenes will be available in the full game. Catch up with Q over lunch. Go boxing with Shay and have dinner after. Have a follow-up conversation with your mother about what she said in the kitchen. And many more scenes. Different choices might unlock other scenes in another playthrough. Convince Nat to come to Singapore. Full game releases in winter 2026. And well, that is the extended demo for Merry Crisis. Of course, other options, make other choices, see slightly different scenes like chatting with Nat instead of doing the concert and all that. But yeah, so that's Merry Crisis, the extended demo, out winter 2026. Or planned to be out winter 2026 specifically. So, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider tossing a like, comment, subscribe, maybe click the bell for notifications. If I could not have the hiccups right now, that'd be great. Also be sure to check out the description below, various links, social media, Discord, come hang out, get notifications there too. And until next time, this is rinimt signing out. Bye!